In 1972, Robert Bob Hamilton jointly founded the Mirvac Group with $1.5 million in capital and the clearly stated ambition of creating a quality development and investment property company. By the time he stepped down in 2005, after 33 years as managing director, Mirvac had developed over 30,000 apartments and houses, gained an unrivaled reputation for quality and design, with assets of over $5.5 billion. Originally a medical student, Robert started his property career by accident when in 1959 he took a temporary job as a real estate agent on Sydney's northern beaches. He soon realised he had a very good understanding of what buyers wanted in an apartment and how rarely they got it.
I'm in awe of his detailed understanding of the property industry in Australia. I'm almost convinced there isn't a piece of land in Sydney that he's not walked over and tried to buy at some stage.
In 1961, Bob started his own real estate agency, Hamilton & Co., which specialised in development, putting sites together, advising builders and selling the apartments. He began investing alongside Henry Pollock, an architect and builder, and in 1972, the duo formed Mirvac as a joint venture with AGC. Within 2 years, they had repaid the capital, just in time for the credit squeeze, and then survived the downturn by renovating rather than building apartments. In the early 1980s, Mirvac began creating the urban regeneration landmarks for which the company would become so well known, starting with York Apartments, one of the first residential projects in the Sydney CBD for over 50 years. With Bob keen on commercial property to balance the housing development, Mirvac began to diversify throughout the 1980s with hotels, office towers, unlisted property trusts and even a retirement village.
Bob Hamilton could rightly be described as an icon of the property industry in Australia, and indeed an icon of business life in Australia. He's typical of the type of leadership that's given Australia as a community in the world such leadership.
In 1987, the group listed with assets of $264 million, and the 1990s saw Mirvac move into even bigger urban regeneration schemes, including Raleigh Park, Sydney's first community title scheme, East Circular Quay, Sydney's Olympic Village, and Walsh Bay.
Walsh Bay was one of those classic opportunities to revitalise our city and do it with class. And you couldn't have put a better person in charge and in trust with that project.
Like all good property developers, like all good property people, look to leave a legacy. And I think in some of those developments, Walsh Bay is a great example. There's something Sydney will benefit from for the next 50 or 100 years.
Bob's impact extended throughout the country with developments such as Mariners Reach in Brisbane and Beacon Cove in Melbourne.
A site with a lot of potential would be the way you'd talk about it, and many Melbourne-based property developers have looked at it and really come up blank, whereas he could see that you could turn it from an industrial site and it had a reputation for not being a residential zone, but he saw the future and he picked it well, and as it turned out, he got it very right.
Since stepping down from the company in 2005, Bob, who is a fellow of the Australian Property Institute, has advised the New South Wales Government as a Director of Landcom and Urban Growth New South Wales, and helped not-for-profits as an advisor to St Vincent's Health Australia and Chairman of the Salvation Army Property Advisory Board.
Bob is an amazing man in terms of the time that he gives to the Salvation Army and its mission. Sometimes I see him on our headquarters here and I say, Bob, you must have been here every day this week.
Bob's not only just been a person that's worked in the industry, he's given a lot back, both to industry organisations, but also extended his philanthropic approach to life to any number of charities, and I suspect he doesn't want that necessarily strung up in lights, but the fact that he's been a giver more than a taker for many, many years is something that he and his family can be rightly proud of.
His motivation is really giving back to the community, and particularly people who need it most in the community.
Bob wants to make a difference, and I think in his retirement from day-to-day work, and certainly on our board at Urban Growth, you hear that all the time from Bob, wanting to make sure that the really interesting and exciting projects that we're developing at the moment are landmark projects for Sydney and Australia.
Bob Hamilton's leadership style captured the combined talents of Mirvac's people from design, development, project management, finance, sales and marketing and construction into a flexible and collaborative group.
Bob had a wonderful team that worked with him, and part of the success, of course, was clearly as Bob would recognise that outstanding team. But the fact that they gave Bob their loyalty says something about Bob's leadership.
He was the chief driver of Mirvac's holistic approach to development, which has proven to be the cornerstone of the company's success and impeccable reputation for quality. Ladies and gentlemen, please join the Property Council of Australia in honouring Mr. Robert Hamilton, 2016 inductee to the Australian Property Hall of Fame.
I want to congratulate you on this achievement and say thank you on behalf of the Salvation Army for the incredible difference you've made in the lives of others.
Bob, you've done a lot of good work for Sydney and the community and the nation over many years, and tonight's just a wonderful tribute to your efforts, your tenacious hard work and your tremendous eye for detail.
Congratulations from my old Victorian government background through to my Infrastructure One now.
Thanks for all you continue to do for other people.
Congratulations on being inducted into the Hall of Fame. And if I might be bold enough to also thank you on behalf of the Government of New South Wales for the contribution you make to the very significant projects that are going on in this city, in this state.